special interview. It's with the top boss of the Piramal Group, Ajay Piramal, joining us right here on ET Now. Mr. Piramal, thank you so much for talking to us. This is Nayantara Rai in New Delhi. Mr. Piramal, today we did see the Piramal stock nosedive in trade, close at the low point, reacting to a news report that Piramal's $1 billion+ deal with SoftBank has fallen through, that SoftBank has walked away. It is not interested in infusing funds into the Piramal Group. If I could begin this interview by getting your reaction on that and, talk to your shareholders. What is this going to mean for the group?
So I have seen now in the last 12 months, every few weeks there is some speculative news or the other, whether it is investment by some group, whether it's not an investment, whether certain people whom we have lent to have failed or not. So I think the best is that we should go on factual basis.
So, who best to clear the facts than you, Mr. Ajay Piramal? Since we have you in ET now, clear the facts for us, sir. Tell us, talk to your shareholders, what exactly is going on? Are you in fundraising mode? If SoftBank is no longer interested, are you talking to other parties? How much do you need to raise?
Nayantara, in our company, let me say that we always make public whatever it is to shareholders in the right manner. So I had said a few months ago that we will raise equity about 8,000 to 10,000 crores in this year and this fiscal, and we stand by that statement.
So you stand by a fundraising drive of 8,000 to 10,000 crore rupees. Mr. Piramal, if it's not with SoftBank, does that mean you're already talking to other players? Pardon me and allow me to ask these questions because I'm also asking them on behalf of your shareholders and those who are keen to know. Clearly, we saw a reaction to the stock price based on a news report of SoftBank walking away. So just an update, are you talking to others? Are you talking to private equity players? What is the update?
So the update, as I said, is that we are committed to raise 8,000 to 10,000 crores and we are talking to several capital providers. And this is what I want the shareholders to know. This is a transparent method. And I think this is what is the fact.
Including SoftBank?
I think I've said exactly what I said now, and that's what I would like to stick to because I want to be fact-based. This report which came today is actually misleading. In the last sentence, it says there's a pause. In the beginning, it says it's a broken down. So choose which part of the news, same report you want to select.
So, Mr. Piramal, since we have you, you also tell us the facts. Are you and your group interested in entering consumer lending?
Yes, we have said this. Again, we have said all the facts and let me repeat one more time. The fact is that we have got a book which we want to diversify. We want to make it granular. So today, where real estate wholesale lending is 46% of our book, we want to increase it to do more loans as far as retail is concerned, to do more loans as far as SMEs are concerned, and to increase and to start in consumer lending as well.
Okay, so you do want to enter that business. Would therefore the natural corollary also mean that you want to reduce your exposure to real estate?
As a percentage, yes, we are reducing our exposure to real estate of the total book.
So, Mr. Piramal, I think since we have you and what we have seen today, which you are saying is not based on facts and is just speculative in nature. Mr. Piramal, I think the bigger problem or what the pain that the markets feel is they fear that your balance sheet may not be in the best of shape. How crucial is it for you to get this fundraise? What is the liquidity situation at the company?
I think that's a very good question. So let's see what happened. The whole financial crisis in the country began a year ago in September 2018. What have we done since then? Since then, we have raised 25,000 crores of long-term loans. Since then, we had 18,000 crores of commercial papers which were due at the end of September last year. Today, they are only 2,000 crores, out of which we have got only 615 crores to be exact of commercial papers from mutual funds. Also, during this 12-month period, we have got repayments of between 4,000 and 5,000 crores every quarter, which is more than what were due to us. And during this period, our debt equity ratio still remains 3:1. Now, if this is not solvency, I don't know what else I can say.
So that's your big message to the shareholders, right? That your balance sheet is perhaps being made out to be worse than it is, or is solvent and is in good shape. Is that your big message today?
So first of all, I don't know who's saying it's worse than what it is made out to be. I think the knowledgeable shareholders do know that this is a solid balance sheet. So I can say that it is a solid balance sheet. The numbers speak. Besides, I gave you these things about the repayments, about the long-term loans. Look at the quality of assets. We still have, in terms of NPAs, gross NPAs are 0.9%. Our provisioning is more than double of that. We have, as I said, the quality of assets has been tested, because some of the assets we've now got co-investors as well. So what more do we need?
So, Mr. Piramal, the last time we also spoke, and I think the reason why all of this speculation started, or these fears around the Piramal Group started, was because of the exposure to Lodha. Where does that stand? You know, in the past, you have said you will conscientiously work towards reducing that exposure.
So the Lodha exposure was about 4,000 crores towards the end of last year. And now, as we have said, we'll bring it down to 2,500 crores in the next couple of months.
Okay, so you will pretty much halve it in the next couple of years. So, Mr. Piramal, the other thing I wanted to get a sense from you is, you're talking of raising 8,000 to 10,000 crores of equity. A lot has changed in the last couple of weeks. The sentiment has changed. Would you now need to maybe dilute less simply because of the way the markets have started performing again?
I think let's see what has changed. It has been a positive sentiment in the last couple of weeks. I think the announcement on the tax break has been a big positive. Let's see how things go.
And we saw Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chair a press conference flanked by ace bankers, housing finance companies, where the verdict was that there is no problem with liquidity. No bank, no mutual fund house, no financial institution has complained of liquidity. That's what the finance minister has said in a press conference. I wanted to get a sense from you. Do you concur that there is no problem with liquidity? And if there is no problem with liquidity, why are we still seeing maybe credit offtake just not take off?
So I can only go by what the figures are. The finance minister during the budget and since then has had several relaxations as far as credit is concerned. So has the Reserve Bank done. They have increased credit flow to the banks. They've reduced the rates that the cost of funding to the banks as well. But when I saw the data, which is given by Reserve Bank, at the end of July, which is the latest number available, The exposure of banks to NBFCs has gone down by 4,500 crores. It has not gone up. So besides that, several of the other schemes that the finance minister has announced, very, very minuscule amounts of that have actually been they've been dispersed by either the banks to the to the NBFCs. So the fact the data is not supporting what it is. Maybe it's all in the pipeline. And also we need to understand that it's we should not look at only one or two housing finance companies or banks to look at it. It is the overall system that's important. Remember that one ILFS of 100 crore default in September actually brought the whole financial system of the country to a crisis. It's 100 crore default in a 2.5 trillion economy, which brought it to a crisis. So rather than looking at for two or three institutions, I think we have to look at it systemically. And every day there is actually some bad news or the other. We've heard the crisis in the cooperative banks, we've heard it in some housing finance company, we've heard it in other funds. So we have to recognize this.
Mr. Piramal, if you will allow me to make this observation, you're considered to be a maverick investor, to have a Midas touch. This is literally considered to be a time to buy some of the best distressed assets. But you are in fundraising mode. So if groups like Piramal are going to be in fundraising mode, how is all of this going to conclude? Is consolidation even possible?
So in fact, one of the reasons why you raise funds is to take advantage of the opportunities that are there. And again, when consolidation takes place, it means that there will be more and more opportunities for which you need funds. So this is exactly the reason why one must raise funds at this time.
So are you raising funds to expand your business, enter consumer lending, to clean up your balance sheet even further? Or are you doing it for also inorganic growth?
So let me clarify. The reason why today we already have a strong balance sheet. Our debt equity ratio in our financial services, which is more relevant for this discussion, is 3:1. The reason why we are raising funds is that we believe that there are several opportunities today in the Indian market. The fact of the matter is that there is not, in spite of what anybody may say, there is not enough liquidity which is going towards, whether it is to the consumer, whether it is to NBFCs, whether it is to other corporates. And therefore, there is an opportunity today. In fact, if you see the NIMs, which now many institutions are charging, are much higher than what they were 12 months ago, in spite of the rates being brought down by the RBI. So there is an opportunity there. Besides that, there are several inorganic opportunities that are already in the market. You read that every day, and many more will come up if this continues for a while. Which is not a good thing for the country, but there will be opportunities for those who have the funds.
Before I let you go, I want to get your views on what some of the naysayers or what the critics of the recent announcements also have to say, which is that is the Reserve Bank of India and the Finance Ministry walking into a trap of having what was seen as a subprime crisis in the United States, maybe giving loans to those who may not be able to repay it, whether it's to do with the melas or what is being planned across, beginning with 250 districts and all of that. If I could get your views on that, in this rush to get the economy up and kicking, going to those who may not necessarily be having good credit worthiness. What is your take on that? A lot has been spoken about this.
I think let's not compare the subprime crisis of the US. India is very different from that. Even when the crisis took place in the US in 2008 and 9, we were not part of that. And I know that the banks are and the banking system is quite robust enough to make their own risk assessment. And they're not just going to lend out, just do a loan mailer like we used to have a decade or 2 decades ago. I'm sure they will do the proper risk assessment and do the loans.
With that, Mr. Piramal, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out, for joining us here on ET Now, and for being so very candid. That's Ajay Piramal, the top boss of the Piramal Group, laying bare the facts, being very candid as on also the future road as far as the conglomerate goes. Many thanks for tuning in.